Hello gamers, this is Si and welcome back to Which Way Games. Now, which side would you choose to be on?
Winner!
And with that being said, let's go on with the video. Now before I start the video, I just want to say thank you to everyone that enjoys my content. It's the nice comments and the small things that make this hobby worthwhile.
That's cute. I remember when I had my first beer.
And as promised, there's new content on the way, such as gaming timelines, gaming theories, as well as gaming connections. But first up is the beginning of my Versus series, and who better to go toe to toe against one another but Nintendo and Sega. So with that in mind, let's get started.
The world of gaming has come a long way since its introduction. With humble beginnings in the arcade, this digital realm of fun has become a staple of entertainment. Gamers of every generation have been blessed with some great games that have gone on to become a part of history.
Although a part of this history was the rivalry between gamers and their gaming systems of choice.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
But in the early days of video games, some gamers were quite narrow-minded, and it's from this mindset that the catalyst for playground arguments would soon begin. It was a case of this game's got better graphics, my console's more powerful than yours, and Mario could beat Sonic in a foot race. But to understand these statements, we have to get into the minds of gamers back then. And so with that in mind, let's take a trip back in time.
It was the late 80s and Nintendo were dominating the world of video games. The NES had classic games such as Mega Man 2, Double Dragon, as well as the now infamous Legend of Zelda. With each release, 8-bit gamers were divided into two factions, Team Nintendo and Team Sega. Each side had some truly fantastic games that went on to spawn entire franchises, but at the same time sparked a feud between gamers.
It was from here that this period in time would be known as the beginning of the bit wars, but when gaming made that transition to the 16-bit era, Nintendo and Sega upped the ante.
The NES and the Sega Master System had played their part in the world of gaming, but when the Super Nintendo and the Sega Mega Drive appeared, gamers were given the fuel for the fire.
What Nintendo?
And this feud between gamers intensified, especially on school playgrounds. Throughout recess, certain phrases would be heard, and one in particular was "now you're playing with power," which of course had gamers of Team Sega seething at the teeth.
But Sega gamers had an ace in the hole. They responded with a simple phrase: blast processing.
While the Super Nintendo had classic games such as Super Mario World, Donkey Kong Country, and the legendary Chrono Trigger, the Sega Mega Drive was equally blessed with some amazing games. Some of these came in the form of Echo the Dolphin, Streets of Rage, and the 4 legendary Sonic the Hedgehog games.
It seemed that these exclusive games simplified that argument between gamers. However, it soon changed when certain games started to appear on both gaming systems.
Games such as Thunder Force, Aladdin, and even Earthworm Jim appeared on both the Super Nintendo and the Sega Mega Drive, and while they appeared to be identical, there were some minute changes here and there.
But soon, a spanner was thrown in the works with the release of Mortal Kombat.
With Mortal Kombat originally appearing in the arcade, the popularity surrounding it guaranteed a home port for pretty much every gaming system at the time.
The option of turning on the blood may have only been accessible via a cheat, but it did give Team Sega another piece of ammo against Team Nintendo.
The rivalry between Team Nintendo and Team Sega had reached boiling point, especially within the 16-bit era of gaming. And while this era built upon the foundations set from the previous gaming generation, eventually gamers from both sides would come face to face with a new challenger. The PlayStation was a massive leap in terms of gaming, with games like Crash Bandicoot, Tomb Raider and Spyro the Dragon impressing gamers.
Shut up and take my money!
As the 90s was coming to a close, it became apparent that Nintendo was still a force to be dealt with, especially with the Nintendo 64. However, Sega soon followed Nintendo into the world of 3D with the Sega Saturn.
The ridicule between gamers has started up once again, with some saying that Sega was on its way out, or that the Saturn wasn't as good as the PlayStation or the Nintendo 64. However, Sega weren't quite out for the count just yet.
Stepping into their corner was a small white box of fun, and this of course was the Sega Dreamcast.
Neat.
While the Nintendo 64 had classic games such as Banjo-Kazooie, F-Zero X and the legendary GoldenEye, the Sega Dreamcast brought with it the likes of Crazy Taxi, Jet Set Radio and Soul Calibur.
With these games and many more, Sega gave Nintendo and Sony that two-finger salute.
You're goddamn right.
But once again, Nintendo soon showed why they've been in the gaming business for several decades, with the release of the Nintendo GameCube.
Gamers of Team Sega could now see that the writing was on the wall, especially when the PlayStation 2 appeared, as well as the Microsoft's Xbox.
Nice.
Now with four factions arguing with one another, Sega soon made a history-breaking decision.
Sega left the console market shortly after, ending the rivalry between Nintendo and Sega.
And while these days, some of the games that had appeared on the Super Nintendo and the Sega Mega Drive can be looked back on with some fondness, there is always that stigma surrounding them, leaving it with many questions.
Now there is one question that some of you have wondered: am I Team Nintendo or am I Team Sega? I'll let you decide.
You teasing me, naughty.
Overall, all the games that Nintendo and Sega have created have gone on to become a part of history, not only within the world of gaming, but that of pop culture. With mascots from both companies drawing the attention of the world, it's easy to see why Nintendo and Sega will always be known as the original powerhouses of gaming. Gamers old and new are guaranteed a unique gaming experience, no matter which game they choose to play from these two legendary gaming developers.
Anyway, come back next time where I take a look at the classic Mega Man timeline and what adventures that the original Blue Bomber went through. Thank you so much for watching and see you next game.